Hey everyone, welcome to the Otherz podcast. I am your host, Stephen Penny. We have another special guest this week from, well, across the pond from in respect to where I am. This time from Michigan in the US of A. And we've got Raphael Collins. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me today.
Oh, it's my pleasure, my pleasure. Good to have listeners of the podcast on here to talk about stuff.
Sweet.
So, this week we are going to discuss the final single, I think it was, from In My Mind. We're doing this in a weird order, but this is the third and final single, and it is That Girl, featuring Snoop Dogg and Charlie Wilson. This was released on the 30th of October 2006, and I have absolutely zero idea how well it did in the charts, because there's no information I could find. Well, to be honest, I didn't dig around too much, but my usual sources didn't have any information, so I don't really know how it did. But if I'm remembering correctly, at least over in the UK and in Europe, it didn't do brilliantly. Again, followed on from the kind of poor performance of Can I Have It Like That, the even poorer performance of Angel, and I think that continued with this song as well.
Yeah, I know over here the video got a little play, but I don't think I can even remember hearing it on the radio. And just as you said over here, none of the singles really popped off that well.
Yeah, and it's strange because, as I mentioned in the previous podcast, Angel got kind of picked up by Radio 1 in the UK, which is like the biggest kind of radio station over there. And it was their most played song at one point in time. And it was getting a lot of play. Still didn't do much. But then, yeah, this track, I don't really remember hearing it anywhere back then, not on the radio or in the clubs. I probably heard it every now and again somewhere, but nowhere really. It doesn't, it never really sort of stood out, which I think is a shame because, funnily enough, I actually quite like this track.
Yeah, it's most definitely one of my favorites off the album. I remember when I first heard In My Mind, and that track came out, I most definitely went crazy in my room because this is the best thing I've ever heard. Granted, I said that about the last 6 tracks also when I first heard it. So
yeah, this one I think was a bit of a grower on me. It's from the kind of R&B side of the album. I think a lot of those tracks I wasn't overly keen on when it first kind of came out, but it definitely grew on me. And then just watching it back a minute ago and playing the video again and trying to kind of listen to it properly, I kind of realised how much I do actually like the song, especially some the vocal arrangements and the flow, like at the start of the first verse and then during the chorus as well. And then the strings kind of
so
throughout
sweet.
The track on the back of it, they sound really, really good. And I even kind of dug out an instrumental a minute ago as well and was playing the instrumental to myself. And just listening to that, it's a really, really good beat.
Yeah, man. That's most definitely, in my opinion, a key highlight beat. And I remember even on the Out of My Mind version that Questlove did, how he added the Charlie Wilson vocals and kind of Charlie scatting throughout the whole thing, made it even more sweet. It was kind of sad that it didn't blow up the way we probably wanted it to be.
Yeah, definitely. I guess it was around that time, sort of the mid-2000s, I think. Although this was very good, there was a lot of this kind of stuff out there. And I think a lot of, especially with this album as well, I think it kind of got saturated in and amongst all the other kind of stuff that was popular at the time as well, which is why I don't think the album necessarily did as well as it could have or should have.
That and the fact that he would push the release back at least 3 times, maybe 4.
Yeah, that didn't help, and it came out in towards the sort of winter, didn't it? You would expect it to be that kind of album to be a sort of spring release to kind of build up into the summer. There's a lot of kind of tracks on there that were kind of almost made for the summer, and none of them saw the light of day during the summer. They all kind of came out in the autumn and winter and stuff.
Yeah, it was really odd. Yeah, I remember purchasing the album, begging my parents to take me to, I want to say, Best Buy, picking it up. And I remember that day he had a lot of release because he was on MTV, VH1 and stuff. So it was the momentum for those few days. I want to say it was around the time number 1 was the single.
Yeah.
And then after that, everything just fell off again.
Yeah.
I know over here he debuted maybe number 3. I forgot who beat him out, but I know the artist that beat him out was kind of random. I think it was like one of those Now compilations or something like that. Ended up beating him out for like number one.
You don't want to get beat by something like that. Damn. But yeah, let's have a chat about the video. I've got to say, just watching this back a minute ago, it's a very dated video.
Yeah.
It hasn't aged very well at all. It really looks like it was made in the kind of early to mid 2000s. And that starts off immediately when one of the first things you hear is a Nokia ringtone that goes off, and then he has a Nokia phone. I think we've talked about this Nokia product placement in the past. You know, Nokia phones seem to show up in a lot of Pharrell and Snoop videos and stuff. So there was obviously some kind of deal going on at the time. Nokia were throwing money at people to try and endorse their failing mobile business. But yeah, he's got some weird Nokia with a little kind of flip up, turn around screen thing. And yeah, it looks its age. But also I noticed at the start, it's the woman in the video is Lauren London.
Yeah.
Who's obviously in the fronting video, and she's in a couple of the other videos. And I think if I were to actually pay attention, I think her appearing in certain videos actually kind of tells a bit of a story.
Yeah.
So, you know, you've got the fronting one where they first meet and, you know, they're kind of coming together, I guess, as it were, kind of first seeing each other. And then this one comes on a few more songs where, you know, they're talking about, I think in the video she's talking about, you know, he should like delete all of the women in his phone, and he just needs one girl and needs to settle down. And, you know, the song is about kind of finding that one person and realizing you're in love with them.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, because that's how I felt about the other girl in the front video. I felt that her being in front, and then maybe I was like, maybe it's a story in itself. He got her in front, and then maybe we see that it didn't work out. But
yeah,
I know at the time when I was in school, I did love the That Girl video, and then rewatching it, I also was like, wow, this is kind of didn't age well. I remember for me, I loved the beginning, how when she was going through the Ashleys, Akira's, and how her A's matched up with the A's and the actual song. At the time, I thought that was genius. As I'm saying it now, I'm still like, no, it's still genius. But yeah, and I always loved the concept of it. And man, it was so much going on, from the ice cream outfits he had on, which actually the shirt he had on in the beach, I actually own that shirt. Like, I bought it.
The video I watched was really heavily edited. It was the only one I could find, and it even like dubbed out the word Jesus.
Oh wow!
And then it blurred out anything that said ice cream on it, and it blurred out that T-shirt. But through the blur, and because I'm a very, very sad man, I'm thinking it's the ice cream cone character that's on a skateboard. Am
exactly.
I right?
Yes, that is exactly what it is.
You have validated my sadness. Yes, thank you.
Well, hey, for me, when I bought this shirt, I was ecstatic, because I was just like, it's the That Girl ice cream shirt. And I just wear it every day like a loser. It was just terrible. But you couldn't tell me anything, because it was ice cream.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Right. But yeah.
I have to say, as we're talking about the BBC and ice cream stuff, this is a 3.5 minute BBC advert / lookbook. We talked about in the Angel one, well, the released version, there's no branding at all. It's very plain and simple and kind of grown up. This goes back to almost every ice cream and BBC item that was on release at that time. We've got the T-shirt you just talked about. There's a couple of others. We've got a couple of different BBC hats, the bee one, the running dog one. We've got the jet polo shirt. We've got the two different striped polo shirts. We've got jean shorts. We've got a crew neck. There's the tracksuit bottoms. There's the flamingo varsity jacket. Oh, absolute grail of mine. Woodland camo hoodie. And I think he's wearing some of the Pharrell Bapesters.
I want to say he was.
Yeah, again, the video I saw was kind of, let's say, not high definition in any kind of way. And there's only a couple of scenes where you actually see him when he stood next to Snoop. And you can kind of see the shoes, and just the kind of purpley, pinky kind of colour made it look like it was a pair of those Bapesters, but I'm not 100% sure. But if anyone's got a a good quality version of that video, I'm sure they'll tell me that I'm wrong if I am.
All right, it's gonna be someone. I also thought it was dope how that video had like the ice cream skate team had their little shot or whatever, and yeah, it was just so much going on in that video that was just awesome to me.
Yeah, and like as I watched that through, I found that kind of like a bit of a shame that there was a lot going on in the video. Again, like the concepts of the video generally I get, and is kind of an interesting concept. It could have been done slightly better, I think, but nevertheless, it's okay. But then you've also got these cutaway shots to when he's on the beach, and he's got that ice cream t-shirt and the money roll shorts, and it just didn't sit very well in a video. It was almost as if, okay, all hip-hop videos now have to be, if you haven't got Hype Williams directing it, you still need some Hype Williams kind of shots in there.
Had the slow running girls.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, and Hype likes to do kind of these beach shots and stuff. So yeah, it just kind of seemed dropped in there almost, like, oh, here's Pharrell on the beach, and here's a couple of girls in bikinis, and okay, like...
Yeah, it was...
You could have gone like...
I was gonna say, yeah, it was most definitely interesting. And I remember they tried to like tie that in where when you sit on the beach and he kind of deletes those girls from the contacts, and was like, oh, I guess that'll work.
I think that it seemed like there were certain boxes to tick. Like, we want this kind of shot, this kind of shot, this kind of shot. This is what videos have at the moment. And we need to tick those boxes and, yeah, somehow loosely tie them together. I think the video would have worked better if it had just kind of stuck around, or either stuck around the original idea and concept and focused on that, or if you made a video that was more focused on the kind of aesthetics of the beach shots and stuff, and it looked more like that across the whole sort of 3.5 minutes or whatever, that would have worked better, kind of either or. But both of them mixed together for me didn't really work that well.
Yeah, I agree. And like I said, the same is one of those things that I noticed again when I was rewatching the video like the other day, and I was like, again, just didn't, like you said, it just didn't it didn't age that well.
Yeah, very much so. So what else have we got? As we mentioned, we've got Charlie Wilson in there. We've got a verse from Snoop. The majority of the Snoop stuff is shot separately.
Yeah.
I guess, as is the case with most of these things, scheduling conflicts and stuff. So he's generally shot separately. There's a couple of shots where they're both standing together with obviously with a green screen behind them and some dated graphics put behind them. Again, they may not have even been in the same place then. I think they probably were, but yeah, their actual time on screen together is very, very limited.
Yeah, I actually like the Snoop verse a lot on this. I felt he complimented the song well, which was probably like another reason why I was kind of shocked that it didn't become a hit, because we had Drop It Like It's Hot, Let's Get Blown, Beautiful, all these records that were doing so well with them together, and then this happened, and again, it just didn't really connect with the audience like they thought.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, yeah, the Snoop verse is not his best, but one of his better ones. I think he can be, or around that time, he was very hit and miss, let's say, at times.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was one of his slightly better ones. And again, his verse was kind of loosely around falling in love with somebody, although in his case, it was a girl who was
she was a skeezer.
Yeah, it's a girl who was a blood, whose daddy was a thug. So yeah,
I take that back.
Classic. Yeah, classic Snoop concept.
As I'm rapping his verse in my head.
But yeah, he was all right on there. He certainly added to it. Throughout, like, the track itself, I thought, like, again, lyrically, it was better than some of the other stuff on the album.
Yeah.
I think on the last podcast, I talked about, the album sounded quite forced at times. It was very, very braggy, and lots of talk of things that weren't really, I don't think, in Pharrell's life or lifestyle, the talk of guns and drugs and all those kinds of things.
Yes.
But I think on this song it was toned down, or generally on the R&B tracks on the album it's toned down a bit. And on this it was. And there was some, interesting and good kind of wordplay in there somewhere. But there's one kind of bar that I don't know why this stands out, but it always does to me. It just seems a not a strange bar to put in there, but it's the one where it says, let's go to Vegas and watch Celine Dion, make them say what we on. And it's just strange to me, because if you're going to take a girl on a date, you'd okay, let's go to Vegas and
Yeah.
watch Celine Dion. Okay, is that what you do when you've got a lot of money? I don't know.
It could be, but now that you say that was one of my highlight parts too, just because I guess the imagery for me, because I guess for here that is like a big thing. You go to Vegas, she had her whole like residency going on during that time. So, but yeah, when you bring it up, it's kind of a unique lyric for Peter to just throw out there.
Yeah, it makes me think that was he knows someone that's done that, or he's done that himself. I can get tickets to this sold out show, even though it is Celine Dion. Let's go and do that.
Yeah, which now I think about it, I know like a lot of rappers for some reason like to mention Celine Dion. Like I remember when Kanye had some verse where it was like looking like a fat booty Celine Dion or something like that.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
who knows about hip hop's love for her?
I'm going to have to get on genius.com later and look up Celine Dion related lyrics.
I'm pretty sure there's probably like a lot.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see how many there might be. Probably too many.
Yeah. But yeah, I always liked that girl. I thought it was a nice transition into the R&B half, since that's when we got more of the R&B hooks mixed in with the raps that he was going in from the first half. So yeah, it was like a nice, and I want to say it was track 7, I believe.
I think it might have been, yeah.
Yeah, so it was like
I did look at the track list earlier.
That nice midway point to like Angel, Young Girl, I Really Like You Girl, all that stuff.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Yeah, I'm calling this one of the R&B tracks, but I guess he is kind of rhyming throughout most of it, and then obviously singing the hook. So it's a bit of a mixed one. I guess you'd call it a transition track. Yeah, especially if it's placement on the album as well.
Yeah, but it was like, even though I think the album ended again with rap, what was it like? Show You How to Hustle or something like that. So he went right back to talking about stuff that he's not really living.
Yeah. You had Show You How to Hustle, and then I think on the international one you had Swagger International is like the 17th track. I'm just trying to flick through the playlist here now.
I think Mamacita was for some people the little Daddy Yankee joint.
Yeah, that was on one of the versions. Yeah,
I remember when he like performed that too on like the Billboard. It was something super random, like, and I was like, oh, cool, and then it never made the album.
Yeah. What else have we got? Funnily enough, this track has been sampled 3 times, according to Genius.com. Kendrick Lamar, Absol with Lupe Fiasco and Nicki Jean, and King Louis sampled this.
Ooh.
I
know that. I remember like that Snapback and Tattoo song had like the A in there, the little A sample. And it sounded very annoying for some reason on that song.
Okay. So not sampled well then.
Yeah, not sampled well. When I first I was like, oh, cool, that girl. And it was just like that repeated A. And I was like, yeah, we could have left that off.
That would be slightly annoying, yeah. But yeah, I'm trying to think of like these tracks that it's sampled on. I can't place it in my mind what any of them sound like, unfortunately.
Yeah.
The joys of an old and bad memory.
Yeah, I might have to look back on those also now.
Yeah, I was going to quickly look them up before we started recording, but I was rapidly running out of time, so I didn't get a chance. But if I do remember, I will put the names of them and links in the show notes. And that's me basically saying I won't remember. So what else have we got on this this track or this video? Anything else that's worth mentioning? I'm just trying to flick through some of the lyrics and see if there's anything that stands out, anything that's worth mentioning.
I'm trying to think.
I think the answer is a big fat no.
Yeah, I think that about sums up that.
Yeah, it's like the last one I talked about. It's one of those tracks where it didn't do much. Yeah. There wasn't much to it, so there's not a huge amount to talk about in terms of the track itself. And again, the video, like we say, wasn't the best either. Just trying to flick through my notes and see if I can spot anything else, but that's pretty much all I wrote down.
Yeah.
So did you have any other BBC bits from that era, or just that one T-shirt?
What did I have from there? I had the mall that I used to work at sold nothing but ice cream, so my ice cream collection was pretty big.
Nice.
So I had like the Running Dog shirt, the Skulls and Bones one I used to wear faithfully. It had like this one basic shirt that just simply said ice cream. And this was like around the time when ice cream became like super cheap. I think that's when they like changed the company that was making it. So you could get a shirt for like $25-$30. And but yeah, I didn't probably start getting BBC a little bit later when I got an actual job, a real job. Then my collection went up. But yeah, it's most definitely, as far as that era, was more of the older stuff. And then, like I said, whatever I could find for the videos, I would just like beg my parents to buy me for it, just so I can have it. Like I had like the all black Miami hat that he used to wear all the time. Yeah. I know nothing about basketball, but I wanted it because of him. I wanted that Nokia phone because of him. just because.
With that ringtone on it as well.
Right. Just give me the basic ringtone and I'll be happy. But yeah, I had quite a few that I was able to get, and they're all like just in my closet somewhere, just not to be touched and worn.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you? You had anything during that time frame?
Yeah, quite a lot of things actually, but all of mine are long gone now, unfortunately. Lost in another country. But yeah, like I remember going to New York around that time actually, and there were like a couple of places that were like, you know, authorized stockists of it or whatever down this sort of Green Street or wherever it is in Soho. And I had some like the woodland camo stuff. I had one of the t-shirts and a hoodie and some of the jeans, and what else did I have? I don't know, other random bits and pieces. A couple of jackets from around that time as well. But yeah, then all lost, unfortunately. And still lost. I say lost, stolen, more like.
Oh, I feel your pain.
Yeah. Still hurts me to this day to think about it.
Yeah, I remember it's funny when you brought the Soho shop. I remember the first time I went to New York, it was like right after high school. That was like my only go. It was like a whole family trip. And I was like, I just want to see the BBC store. It was like that and like Kid Robot. Like those are the only two stores I cared about. I think I bought like a couple pieces, like a couple shirts I was able to afford. Just like the basic, just BBC, nothing special.
Yeah.
And then I think I bought like a few like Kid Robot items, and my trip was made.
Yeah, annoyingly, I went just before they opened the first BBC store there.
Ooh.
So I never got to actually go to that store and see it. Like the new one I've been to sort of earlier in the year. But yeah, the original one with all the kind of Starfield stuff and like the upstairs part. Like I never got to see it, and I'm like really gutted about that.
Oh, it was awesome. Yeah.
Thanks.
Well, if it make you feel better, I've never been to the Tokyo store, so.
Oh, same here, yeah. But yeah, when I went, this was kind of still early days in BBC, and it was only being sold through certain authorized resellers. You know, in London we had one or two, I think, and then obviously there were a few more in New York and in the US and stuff. But yeah, this was back in the day when it was actually still quite hard to get hold of some of the stuff.
Yeah, it's fortunate now you can find random stores. Like I remember Zoomies was like the skate store Zoomies was selling like ice cream stuff, and there's a few little stores here that have like BBC stuff. It's never in my size. Like it's always 3Xs, 4Xs, and I'm just like, oh, just kind of look then and walk back out.
Well, I have to say, if you spot anything anytime soon that's too large, just buy it and stick it in a washing machine. It'll soon shrink down to size, trust me.
I have to keep that in mind.
That's my one beef at the moment with a lot of their stuff.
Yeah, no, I take all mine to the cleaners. I don't even trust the washer and dryer. Like every single shirt just goes to the cleaners, and I just wait and wear it again one time and I'm good again.
Yeah, see, I like to think I'm sort of fairly domesticated, and I wash stuff as it says on the label, like in the washing machine, and it's on cold, it's on as like the hand wash settings. I'm not actually going to stand there and fucking hand wash something. But then, it still comes out half the size it originally was.
Yeah.
Which is slightly annoying when you've spent like hundreds and hundreds on the t-shirts and the tops. And
yeah, I don't know what I'd do if I accidentally shrunk one of my stuff, because I'm already tiny as it is, so it just wouldn't even be it wouldn't even be wearable anymore. Yeah, I would be hurt.
Yeah, the problem I have is I'm quite big and I shrink it, and then like it would fit a normal person, but I just have to hang it up in the wardrobe and think one day if I keep going to the gym, I may be able to get back into it one day.
Your gold shirt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. To be fair, if I did keep up going to the gym and actually got down to a normal sort of size, yeah, I think about 70% of my wardrobe would be accessible to me again.
Sweet. Something to look forward to.
Yeah, well, if I ever get there, yeah. Yeah, I think in my wardrobe or closet, whatever you want to call it, yeah, I think most of it just hangs there and doesn't get touched anymore.
Yeah, no, I bring them out every now and then. I know my wife is funny with all my stuff. She threatens me. She's like, if you don't wear it within a year, I'm throwing it out. And I'm just like, no, you can't throw it out. I can't wear it. Like when Pharrell was first doing like the Adidas releases, I was buying stuff and it would just stay in my closet just to know that I have it. Like it's not even like on a hype beast thing. It's just I'm that much of like a stan where it's just like I just want to know that I have it.
Yeah, I feel you on that. Yes.
Right.
Then just all you got to do is set a reminder just to repeat once every year. Wear that red track top or something. Stick it on one day. That's it. You've ticked that box. It can't be thrown away then.
Right. Show her to her one time. Like, see, I have it on. Like, like when they released the whole "No One Ever Really Dies" BBC merch, I probably wore this shirt one time since it came out. Like, and I was because my goal was to wear it till they actually do a real tour, which that ever happens. And I was like, I guess I'll wear one just to see how it feels, and then I throw it in the cleaners and put it back in the bag.
Yeah. To be fair, I picked up some of the stuff from the London BBC store. So they did some like EU exclusive merchandise, and I actually wore the hat and the hoodie today. In fact, and I have to say, like the hoodie itself is like really really nice, really nicely done. It's like black BBC hoodie. Then it's from a distance. It's just like yellow. Like font on it, so NERD Billionaire Boys Club, and on the back it's got the album track listing. Then if you look really closely within the yellow, there's like a lot of glitter, but you don't notice it until you're up close, and it looks really cool. It looks nice.
Sweet. I was because I remember when they was released the little bedazzled NERD hoodie that I guess was for the tour merch or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's what I was kind of visually thinking of when you was explaining it.
Right. No, this is just like standard kind of printed on graphic with like glitter within the material they're using. But I'm waiting for my bedazzled hoodie from the tour. It should hopefully be on its way to me now.
So we actually want the ESP long sleeve. At first I didn't really care about it, but now that I keep seeing P wear it at shows, I'm like, I kind of want that now.
You know, I could have bought one when the tour started. Someone had one I could have got, and I passed on it. I was like, nah. And then when I actually met him, he was wearing it.
Subtle flex. I like that.
It does look like quite, it does look quite cool, like in person. And I was
when I
having a proper
met
look
P,
at it. And can I have that T-shirt you're wearing? And then I was meant to get some merch after the show, actually. But by the time the show had finished, the merch person had gone. And so, I've actually got the hoodie and that ESP long sleeve T-shirt hopefully on its way to me at the moment. It's somewhere in transit, somewhere in the world.
It's coming.
Yeah, exactly. Looking forward to getting it.
It's coming.
And hanging it up and never wearing it again. So are you getting to see NERD while they're kind of doing this kind of festival tour this year?
Yeah, I watch. Actually, on my computer, I have the Fuji Rock one that I have that set.
Snap.
That set is ridiculous. It's only made me want to tour even more just to see like the crowd reaction to like Rolling Sevens and just them moshing at everything. I was just like, I need this. This has to be here. And so, but I've been loving the ones I've been able to watch. I've loved. They haven't really come anywhere near the Michigan area for any of the festivals, unfortunately. So everything I've done has just been the little live streams or like stalking their Instagram stories. So
I downloaded that Fuji Rocks one as well. I was watching it last weekend, in fact. And I think the sets, wherever they go, they're pretty much identical, bar a few ad-libs here and there when they're talking to the crowd. But it's a good festival set. And like you say, if they do a kind of smaller arena kind of tour, I think a lot of those songs will stay in as well as like there'll be a few more classics in there, I think, as well. A few more slightly slower ones, let's say.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure if they do a more intimate one, we'll get the Run to the Suns, the Maybe sooner or later. So yeah, but I saw one interview. I want to say maybe it was you guys where Shane was talking about how they wanted the set was just high energy. That was like the whole goal, which I was surprised.
That was me. That was me, definitely.
Sweet. So I'm listening. I'm listening.
Thank you. One person is.
So yeah, and I remember like even with the Fujiwara Rock, seeing them perform, and when they did like Killjoy, I was like, oh man, they're still performing Killjoy. Which it looked like it worked pretty well. It's just one of those songs I just wouldn't have thought during this like comeback tour. Let's throw that in the rotation.
Yeah. The set at the moment is just, I think, purely just to kind of get the crowd going. Yeah, if you look back on previous years when they did festivals, and they would just do a kind of greatest hits set almost with things like Maybe in there and tracks like that. We as fans love those tracks and can sing along to them, but when you've got 50,000 people in front of you in a field somewhere, they want the stuff they can dance to, they can jump up and down to, and most people are drunk or worse.
Yeah, last thing they want to hear is Provider.
Exactly. Yeah, no one wants to be really drunk or high and waiting to party, and then Bobby James comes on.
Right, the full version. Chad brings out the sax and everything.
Exactly. I think I'd love that. You'd love that, but the casual listener probably wouldn't so much.
Yeah, which I will say, just because you brought out Bobby James, I remember during the Roots performance, I thought it was sweet how they transitioned Blurred Lines into the second half. Was Everybody's a Star. That was like the sweetest thing. I was like, can they keep doing that? Please keep doing that. So hopefully one day.
Yeah. It's funny because I've been listening to In Search of again the last sort of few days a bit more, after having not listened to it for a while, not end to end, and just remembering just how good tracks like Bobby James are, and remember seeing them live like nearly 15 years ago and stuff in like little venues, and just crazy. I'd love to see them do some smaller shows again and just do absolute classics like that, and have everyone singing along, and
I've had the chance to see them twice. The first time was when they did the tour of Kanye West, the little Glow in the Dark tour, and then the second time they did like this random free show over in Michigan for one of the colleges we had, which was, I want to say it was around I want to say either before Nothing, like that time before they got Rhea was in the group. So like that Soldier Popcorn song was probably like the only new material they had. And after that, I just never had a chance anymore.
Yeah, that's well, I feel your pain being stuck out here in Finland. It's imagine the Midwest isn't like top priority for a lot of artists.
You get maybe Detroit, Chicago or so. That's about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially when you're talking about NERD, who rarely tours already. So
yeah, you got to be in one of those coastal cities really to be likely to get them. And we get that out here in Finland as well. I was not surprised they did the festival here, because the festival season is actually quite big out here. You get some quite big names, but like if they did a normal tour, let's say, they probably wouldn't come over here. I'd have to travel to maybe Sweden if they're doing a world tour. Yeah, maybe Sweden or France or the UK or Germany or somewhere. I'd actually have to fly somewhere to see them.
Yeah, hopefully. I'm hoping hard and strong that we get like an announcement. I'm one of those people that's holding on to that P interview when they're like, are you going to tour? And he's like, yeah, we're going to tour.
Yeah.
I'm that guy still holding on.
Yeah, well, I think we've mentioned this on like some of the other podcasts, but yeah, I've heard bits and pieces from different people. I think there was a plan to kind of tour after this sort of festival season, but as with even this kind of tour they're on at the moment, they've had to cancel the Australian dates, and there was it was like Luxembourg or something they cancelled as well. And I think even this tour was hard to put together from what I've been told. So to then, in festivals they have a really busy period, then they'll get like a couple of weeks off, and it's not like too hectic. But I think if you go on a a world tour that you're just headlining. You've got to literally be in a different place every other night for weeks and months on end. And I just think the logistics of it and the busyness of the schedules, especially of Pharrell, it's just hard to kind of work in that stuff, because even on this tour, you look when they had small gaps in the schedule, and some of the people on the tour would go off on holiday, and some people would go back home to the US, but at least on a couple of occasions, Pharrell would fly to London. I think he went to Paris once as well, and I imagine that's because he has work commitments. He's producing for people. He wants to go to a studio that he knows, and that that obviously takes its toll on you as well when you've got all that other stuff going on, other work you've got to produce as well as perform to people every single night. Yeah,
that can take a toll. I remember some interview where P was talking about how much he don't like touring that much, and then I know for America he really didn't tour Girl, and like me, I was one of the people that was waiting. I'm like, yes, a new album, we're getting a tour, I'm going, and we got nothing. We got random TV performances of Happy and Come Get It Back.
Yeah, it's funny because he did quite a lot of European dates. I know he did like in the UK, I think he did like 6 dates. He did like a couple in Manchester, a couple in Birmingham, 2 or 3 in London or something. Then he did Europe, and I know he did Australia as well, some gigs over there. Yeah, it's strange that you guys didn't really get much.
Yeah, still heard about that. The second reason why I'm holding on to this NERD tour.
Well, yeah, fingers crossed, and like I say, if they did go out on tour, we probably wouldn't get them here. But I think if the set list changed up a little bit, I think I'd definitely fly somewhere to go see them again.
If they did it,
because
if they did a traditional, is there any songs you prefer to hear or would like to hear?
Anything from In Search Of. The more of In Search Of you can put in there, the better for me. So the ones you mentioned earlier, like Run to the Sun, Things Are Getting Better, Bobby James, because on every tour and every show we always get the 2 big songs from the album, and they always play well, and they always sound good, but it gets to a point where I sort of think, okay, I've seen this song live like 14 times now. I've listened to it literally thousands of times. I've seen other live performances on YouTube hundreds of times. It's like, I want to see something a little bit different. So yeah, I'd go for anything from the first album. Obviously, you're always going to get new album stuff in there, but then I'd like to see some different stuff, some random stuff. Just maybe things like, I don't know, like Hypnotize You.
That would be sweet. I think the only time I ever saw it was when he was on like David Letterman. I remember they performed it, but I don't remember seeing any other like YouTube videos of like Hypnotize You. That would be sweet.
I'm trying to think if I saw them do it live. I think I have seen it live, but yeah, it's not one that like comes up regularly.
Yeah,
and it's quite an underrated track in my opinion as well. So I'd like to see that live.
Yeah, that would be sweet. I know for me, I'm trying to think. I would love to see like Love Bomb live.
Oh yeah,
that'll be sweet. I know for a while they were doing like You Know What and like Laugh About. I think I've seen before. Seen them do those live. But like I said, just all the random stuff would be sweet. Victory,
yeah,
would be like sweet to be live. Life as a Fish.
I've seen that one live actually. Victory.
Really?
Yeah.
Sweet. I think like Life as a Fish or like Inside the Clouds live would be awesome to hear. Anything off of Fly or Die, like Find Her Way would be sweet. Like to hear live. And I'm naming all the slow stuff.
Exactly, yeah. But they're the things that, I think as real fans, we sort of appreciate the actual musicality of it as opposed to the big showiness of a festival and the big loud fast songs. We want to hear those ones that actually kind of like mean something to us.
Yeah, when Pharrell and Chad and Shay just show off just how talented they really are, those are the songs that always I think I gravitated towards more throughout any of the albums. It was always just those special songs.
Yeah, but yeah, we need to we'll keep our fingers crossed and hope that they get back out on tour. But as I say, I think it's we may be waiting a long while.
Yeah, I'll be praying, doing the Our Father. Oh man.
Oh dear. All right. What else have we got to chat about? I'll ask you. This is somebody asked it of me the other day on the last podcast, and it's still fairly new. We're only a few days away from then at the time of recording this. Some of the new stuff, such as the Ariana Grande album. Have you had a listen? Do you have any feelings or thoughts?
I love it. Honestly, it's a really good project to me.
Okay.
I think my favorite record so far right now is Successful. Just from that little bridge.
I think that's everybody's. I think all the things I see written about it, it's that one. Yeah.
Yeah, just those. Just those chords. So those chords are just something else when they finally kicked in, and then we get the steel drum effect later on. I want to say it's been mentioned before, but just the fact that P just went back to that older Neptunes bag, which I don't know, it was one of those cases where she wanted that sound, or these were just stuff that was just on the hard drive and just...
Yeah, I have a theory about that. So I know like Mike Larson did an interview. Shout out Mike, I know he might be listening. He did an interview.
Michigan love, Mike.
He did an interview earlier in the year, I think, when the album was kind of coming out or was out, and he talked about, he gets to kind of just, when they're putting the album together, he gets to just sit there and dig through all of Pharrell's old hard drives and dig out random beats and just listen to like all these demos of stuff. And from listening to that song, I get the feeling that they may well have been in the studio and him or somebody else had kind of come across that track on a hard drive somewhere and just happened to kind of play it, and then they thought, okay, this is cool, we could do something with this. Or she said, that sounds good, like what's that, can we work with that? Because I know like Pharrell talks about he doesn't like going back to the past, which I think is why it's such a surprise for a lot of people that we're hearing that old kind of Neptunes sound again, because he always seems to be switching his sound up and moving it forward and changing it as opposed to looking back on anything. So I get the feeling it may have come from somebody else and they just kind of ran with it and it turned into actually a very good track.
Yeah, and I know for a fact the REM track, I guess, used to be a Beyonce song. So I know for a fact. And I remember I saw like some interview where she mentioned how she heard it and was just like, she loved like the chorus and was just like, I want this song. And then when you got other songs like Borderline or Blaze, I'm just like, this has to be in the archives. Just these sounds just have to be archived. Records that just didn't go to anybody else.
Yeah.
But I've been most definitely been enjoying Ariana, which I've always had respect for her, like vocally, but this is probably like the only time I honestly was like telling people like, oh man, this album's good, or I'm like talking about it on like social media and stuff. I'm like, no, she really made a good project. Like it's some really
I'm exactly
good
the
songs.
same. Yeah, it's not something I'd normally listen to or be interested in, but I gave it a listen, and I was posting about it as well, and had a few people like message me like, why are you listening to this kind of thing? What's going on? And I was like, no, it's actually a really well made album. Like, give it a listen. And it's not going to be I haven't got it on repeat. I've only listened to it like once properly and then picked bits and pieces of it. And I probably won't, in the next week or so, I'll purposely go back to it and give it some more proper listens. But it won't. I think in the future it won't be the sort of thing I regularly seek out and go back to. But it's definitely good enough for me to kind of have saved on my phone and listen to kind of when it randomly just kind of comes round.
Yeah, I'll say the same. I know it most definitely has its spot in my my Neptunes folder. I know a few songs I know I'm probably going to go back to multiple times just to be like, man, I feel like hearing this record again, and other ones I probably won't care. I will admit, though, I don't care too much for the Max Martin, and like I listen to those tracks and be like, okay, cool, generic pop songs. And then I went right back and let me see what P did.
Yeah.
But yeah, those records I love. I really love the last song too, that Get Well Soon. That I love the way he did her vocals, and then the whole last 40 seconds I heard was for the bombing situation.
Yeah, for the people that sort of died in Manchester at one of her concerts. Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought that was like a nice, sweet touch for to close the record off. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it most definitely was a pretty good album. I'm happy to say. Even though I heard her fans hate a lot of the Pharrell stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like I noticed on on Twitter, like because I guess they wanted the traditional pop records, and that you're just not gonna get that with Pharrell. Like he's against the traditional grain. So for them, a lot of the records they're not happy.
That's kids these days.
Yeah. Like I saw some of the on Twitter actually was like I saw one tweet where someone mentioned like call for like a one-hit wonder producer.
I saw something. Yeah, I think I saw the same thing, or somebody was tweeting about that person tweeting or something. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just like a lot of just ridiculous stuff. That was just like, oh man, what's wrong with this new generation? Like,
I get that regularly. I get people like that contact me that have heard the podcast, or they've seen like posts about, I don't know, some of the clothes or something or other, and they're just oblivious to anything more than like 2 years ago, mainly because of their age itself. But yeah, you tell them about all this other stuff from 10, 15 years ago, and their minds are blown.
Oh yeah, especially during that whole era when the resurgence of like the happy get lucky Blur Lines effect. It's one of those things that I love and hate all at the same time, because as a fan you love it, but at the same time when you explain to people about Pharrell or just the Neptunes in general, they're like, oh yeah, the guy with the hat, the guy that made Happy. It's more than
that's
that.
how but I say to people over here, like, he's not massive over here, to be fair. Obviously, amongst people like in my age and younger, yeah, they know him, but he's not huge over here. And yeah, people ask me about the podcast, and I sort of say, or even the clothes and the shoes and stuff, and I'm like, oh, that's something to do with Pharrell. And they're like, who's Pharrell? And the one reference point is always, the guy that did Happy, the guy that did Get Lucky, and they're like, oh, that guy, yeah.
Yeah, and now we can do that with Lemon and NERD. Like, people who don't know who NERD is, you're like, well, you know the song Lemon? For real? Like, yeah, that's him. Like, I saw people was like, oh, I didn't know he had a band? Like, really? I'm just like,
yeah, I get that a lot, yeah.
I'm like, where you guys been at all these years? Like, so, yeah, because there's plenty of people I know that, like I said, are introduced, of course, NERD through Lemon, and they just assume it's just a Rihanna song, and they're like, oh, yeah, Pharrell's on it too, I guess.
I've heard that from a few people, yeah.
Yeah, so that's, unfortunate. And then, of course, I have those cringe moments where I'm like, there's so many more better songs than this. like I remember when Happy came out, and I was happy. I'm like, there's better songs on that soundtrack than Happy to me.
Yeah. I remember people saying to me, like, oh, I quite like that Happy song, this Pharrell guy. He's quite good. And I feel like saying, like, let's sit down and go through the back catalogue. And I'll give you some real songs to listen to here. Yeah,
and then I see like articles online, like 10 songs you didn't know Pharrell wrote. And it'd be like, I'm a slave for you, Senorita.
Yeah.
Drop it like it's hot. And it's like, come on.
Yes, I saw that recently, funnily enough, from somebody, another podcaster, who is a proclaimed huge NERD fan, and it was the article that kind of, it went like a little bit viral, and it was about the kind of 4-beat intro that Pharrell uses a lot, let's say, and how you can like helps identify a Pharrell and Neptunes track. And he was a self-proclaimed huge fan, and then was like posting that article like, oh, I never even realized this was a thing. I've never noticed this in any track anywhere before. It's like, oh, okay.
Right, yeah. Yeah, the 4 count.
And then there's us weird stands just in the background rolling our eyes.
Yeah, as I'm doing right now, this person, like, come on. Where have you been at?
Yeah.
But yeah, and I remember like Genius did like some video little thing about the 4 count. Some people was just like, wow, that's crazy. I never even noticed that. While also you get the classic, like, I didn't know he did that song. I didn't know he did that song.
Yeah, there's a lot of those videos on YouTube because I watch or have watched over the years a lot of Pharrell or NERD or Neptune's tracks and videos. It recommends those things to you. It says you should watch this video, and it's like tracks you didn't know Pharrell produced or wrote about, and it's always just the most or to us the most obvious stuff. Even when he's on there singing the hook.
Right. Like Kendrick's All Right. And so many people I know is like, he did that? And I'm just like, he's right on the...
Oh, I'll tell you what, that song I saw one of the most cringeworthy videos in a while. This was a couple of years back, and he was in the studio, probably doing this album. Oh no, I'm getting it wrong. So he was in the studio with Cara Delevingne, the British model.
Oh yeah.
And he produced some of her tracks for a Luc Besson movie she was in. She did some songs for the soundtrack.
Yeah, I think I have a few of them. Right.
Yeah, and he was. I think they were in the studio. They were somewhere anyway, and All Right started playing. Or I think he was giving her like a sneak peek. He was playing it to the people that were there in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, oh, yeah, I really... You know, she's there working with him and claims to be this... You know, she's done modelling jobs with him and, you know, they're on friendly terms. And she was like, listening. She's like, oh, yeah, you know, I love this track. It's been one of my favourite recent tracks and stuff. And then she's like, who... I think she said something like, who's that saying the all right bit? Is that so-and-so? And they're like, and Pharrell's like, no, that's me. I made the track. And she's like, oh, really? Oh, 'cause it's one of my favourites. And it was just very, very cringeworthy.
That had to be cringeworthy. It's funny that...
The fact that she stood in front of him saying, like, who is that? And, you know... Ugh.
Like, me. No, but it's funny that you mentioned their tracks because I remember that Sony did together for the Chanel campaign. I actually like loved like a lot. Like, I used to play that all the time because it was so unorthodox of a like song and beat. And now you told me this story. Now I'm thinking, do I really want to promote that song anymore?
Funnily enough, in tying into that, one kind of track I go back to quite a lot is from, I don't know, it must be like 04, 05 or something, is the track he did for a Louis Vuitton show. And it's like it's maybe 15 minutes long or something, 20 minutes long, and it's just like a mashup of loads of different tracks. There's like SpongeBob in there and Wait a Minute, Mr. Postman, and it's just kind of all mashed up, but it works so brilliantly. And there's such a weird mixture in there that it's really interesting to listen to.
Yeah, I do remember that. I know there's a lot of weird stuff I go back that he's done. Like, I have like when he like composed with like the Academy Awards, there's like one song that he did for him that was like really amazing. I was like, I need this as a real song for somebody. Like, his weird campaign songs that I remember like that You Got Me Girl song he did for a commercial. I'm still waiting for that. What was that jewel company he did a song for? It was like that On My Mind.
Yes, I remember. I don't remember the name of it or anything.
Or I could be pronouncing the name.
Yeah, Swarovski, yeah.
Yeah, like I still want that as a song. Like I used to watch that commercial on YouTube like thousands of times. I even have like an edit someone made of just that getting repeated constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's done a few things like that. He's done some like, is it like Maybelline or one of those kind of makeup companies? He's done a couple of like, if I remember rightly, a couple of like tracks for them for their kind of online ads and stuff.
Yeah, we never get anything from those.
Here's a project for yourself or myself. 10 adverts you didn't realise Pharrell produced the music for.
Ooh.
That would surprise a lot of people, I think.
That would. I know, I feel like, of course, us stans will probably know about all the Nike songs he did. Yeah. I know, I used to play those all the time. Man, yeah. Yeah, I might have to do that, see how many random just ads he's made.
I think there'd probably be more than you imagine. I imagine there's probably even some out there that I'm not aware of or haven't heard or haven't seen at any point. Because you get all these weird and wonderful like Japan-only releases and stuff like that people don't really pick up on.
Yeah, that I remember him and Beyonce did like a Diamonds Are Girls' Best Friend edition or so. I forgot. I don't even remember what that was for. Like he's done a lot. That the Louis Vuitton when he had like the Everyone Knows plug-in.
Yeah,
quite a lot. Now I'm just the ones that just flow into my head.
Yeah, I don't call him the hardest working man in music for nothing.
He really is. Yeah, he really works hard.
Yeah, it's funny because I was talking to, I think, Brent about this a while back. The way I kind of see it is like back in the day, you had like James Brown, who was like named like the hardest working man in music or whatever it was, because he was just on tour constantly. And then like in the early 2000s, you had like, for me at least, when Get Rich or Die Trying came out, you had 50 Cent, who seemed to just be on tour continuously forever, on TV somewhere in the world every single day of the week. And then since around the time of like Happy and Girl and stuff like that, when there was a real media blitz, it just seems like, Pharrell's taking over that mantle, and he's literally in a different country every day of the week.
Yeah.
He's doing a show, and then he flies somewhere else, and he's in a studio, and then there's this whole kind of ridiculous body of work behind him, and not just the music, but obviously the different clothes and the design and all the art stuff and the curation of exhibitions and jewelry lines, and there's a ridiculous amount.
Yeah, when he was on The Voice,
the TV shows.
Other Tone, like he does. Yeah, he got something going on, probably like a project every time, and whatever other secret projects he got going on that we don't know about yet.
Yeah, I'm sure he has like 50 kind of projects going on in the background at any one time. I know when I saw him, he was just continuously on the phone, basically having to take calls and talk to people, and I'm sure there's a lot going on.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm just imagining would it be like the Shadow P for a day?
Hectic, I imagine. Not a lot of sleep involved.
Right. Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure you probably get nothing. I remember on that that diary documentary they did on him. I think he said like the only time he slept was like when he was on the plane. For those couple hours.
Yeah, I think things have when they're back in LA, they've changed a little bit in recent years because of the 10,000 kids he's got at home at the moment.
Right.
So when they were making like the Justin album, he was getting up really early. I think Justin was talking about it. Pharrell would get up really, really early when the babies would wake up, and he'd come to the studio, and then he'd like leave early. He'd go home in the afternoon so he could be there when like the kids go to bed and stuff like that. So it's obviously changed quite a lot, as things do when you get older and your lifestyle changes, but still, you just if you follow him on Instagram and stuff now, it's when he is away and when he is working, it's just a ridiculous schedule by the looks of it.
Because just the tour alone, like we said before, him doing the tour, and then probably was finishing up Ariana Grande's album, and then promoting with the new shoe release that's getting ready to drop. So he's a busy man.
It hurts my head just thinking about all those things. It makes me tired just thinking about all those things.
I don't know. It makes me like ecstatic just for what else.
Well, yeah, I think as long as there's no burnout involved, and I know he has a large team around him and a really, really good team. I've been lucky enough to talk to quite a few of them in the last year or so and meet some of them, and I know they get they're busy.
Yeah.
But yeah, he does have a lot of people around him taking care of a lot of stuff, so hopefully it's kind of worked out so that he doesn't get burnt out and we don't see any of this stuff stop. Or
yeah, I hope not, because there's a lot, especially now that he's producing movies too, like, so
yeah, the I Am Other empire is expanding everywhere, basically.
Right.
Yes, they've got various movies they've been involved with and are involved with, and then you've got the one coming up, the one loosely based on his childhood, called Atlantis. Yeah, Atlantis, because he grew up in like Atlantis apartments or whatever they were called. So there's that, which I'm sure he has involvement in as well, and yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for him to work on that Voltron movie.
Yeah, I was on some website the other day actually Googling, looking up something or other, maybe some interviews or something for another podcast, and I came across one of the interviews or pieces about that movie as well. And I was like, oh yeah, whatever happened to that?
Yeah, I was still waiting for Voltron. So I don't know. You think he's ever going to go back to acting again?
Hopefully not.
No more Dude, We're Going to Rio to Part 2.
That was... I watched that again a couple of months back after not watching it since it came out, and I've got to say it was painful to watch.
Very painful to watch.
It was very painful to watch. And then, yeah, you see him in these like little he doesn't do too badly in like the little cameos that he crops up in movies and TV shows and stuff. But yeah, I don't think he's cut out for acting, or at least he never used to be. Let's say.
You know, I remember when I saw like the Entourage movie, he like randomly popped up for like a quick second, and I was like, it was like some other movie I saw him like a quick little cameo, and
he's in like the one I remember. He's in Get Him to the Greek.
Yeah, the scene with him and P Diddy.
Talking about his, I think it's like his pink polo shirt or something. Yeah, he crops up every now and again in things.
But no Rio Part 2.
God, no. We could have a Clones Part 2, though, that goes with it.
Another dream.
Yeah. I was actually, when I met Chad, I was going to ask, I was going to, like, mention something like that, but didn't have the bottle to do so. But if we can ever get one of them on the podcast, then it's certainly a question I will put forward. You guys say, so might as well complete the collection. Exactly. I need the hat trick. I've got one so far.
All right. I know it's funny that you mentioned Chad, because I must say I do love that we're seeing more of Chad now again. Like, he's all on the tours, and I saw he has his own little like articles that's been coming up with interviews, and I think he just released his own like drum kits and stuff. So
yeah, he's been working with some sound companies, and like I say, it's like his own like sample pack, I guess you call it. And there's a lot of old Neptunes stuff in there as well. So if anyone out there produces any,
I downloaded it just
I know
because.
You can produce anything. I signed up and downloaded it for free, just so I've got sounds to play around with, and I can just press the buttons on my keyboard and go, "Ooh, Neptunes, ooh."
That was me. I'm like, I don't even make beats, but I just had to have it. And when I was like, "Oh, that's that song." I'm like, "Oh, he used that for that song," and I was happy.
But yeah, like I say, it's really good to see sort of Chad fully out on his tour. This is like back in the day, this is what I not disliked about NERD tours, but it was always a talking point around an NERD show, and the talking point was always, is Chad going to come? Will Chad be there? Because I don't know why, I'm just speculating from things that I heard. He didn't really like traveling, and he didn't like touring. So even though things were billed as NERD, a lot of the times they weren't with him.
Yeah.
But I remember, like the first time I saw him, and I don't think he was due to be there. Like the rumor was like he wasn't going to come, and then he came out and stood behind the keyboards, and everyone like went crazy when he came out.
Yeah, I know the fortunate times I saw them, he was there, and of course I was one of those, the only standouts the whole time driving to the venue. I'm like, is Chad coming? Will I get the full effect? And of course he's behind the keyboards. I'm like, yes. It's a real NERD show. Okay, I was going to say versus what we usually see during like the older times where Chad was never there.
Yeah, very much so. I think he prefers that. He likes to keep it kind of low key, even like on these tours. He's doing a few interviews here and there, but like with Shay, I don't think he's particularly interested in doing much or any kind of press at all, unless he really, really has to. And then in these tours, he runs out, he waves, and he stands behind the keyboard the whole time at the back, and he's like low key. But if you if you watch that Fuji Rock set, so anyone that doesn't get to see them tour this year, if you Google like the NERD Fuji Rock stream, you can probably download it from somewhere. And if you watch, you just see him in the back. He's playing such an integral part of the whole show. Yeah. He's doing all the keys. He's doing like multiple guitar things. He's got like the drum pad there, so he's doing all the sounds and queuing up all the tracks, and he's doing a lot there as well. He's very understated. Yeah,
and I feel like the other tours, I feel like he's usually in that nice little corner with a couple different things set up, just playing. Like I remember, like in the In Search Of era, when he had like legit turntables in front of him, like scratching during like sets and stuff. So yeah, Chad's very versatile.
Yeah, very much. And even on this tour as well, I think he does come out when there's I can't remember which track it is, but there's like a dance break almost, where all the dancers kind of do their stuff, and he comes out, I think, in some of the shows and dances around with them. And when I actually met them, that's one thing I really liked. All the dancers kind of go to the backstage first, and he's just there with them, and they're like Meta and all the other dancers are kind of running up and down the steps to the backstage area, kind of warming up. And he's there doing it with them as well, and like working out with them and doing all these like silly dance moves. And
Oh, sweet.
just he was kind of very much how I expected him to be, but in a very good way. Certainly very quirky and eccentric, let's say.
Yes, our guy Chase Chad.
Yes, the legend.
Yes. But yeah, that, like I said, I was just seeing that was sweet to know that he's putting forth of effort instead of just being Chad the ghost.
Yeah, it's good to see more of him.
Yeah.
All right, well, on that note, we have gone well over the usual hour we try and keep it to. I think we could sit here all night just reminiscing about this stuff and praying for a new tour at some point soon. But we'll have to wrap it up, I think, because especially as it's 10:30 here now and I'm old and need my bed as well.
Right.
So yes, we will wrap it up there. You can stream this and find all the show notes and stuff on the website, which is theothers.net. Obviously, Otherz with Z. You can follow on Instagram, social media at Otherz Podcast. You can help support the podcast by going to patreon.com/Otherz. And you can find me everywhere at Steve R. Penny. And Raphael, where can people find you online if they want to follow you and see what you're up to?
You can check me out at Audiiokidd on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever your social media preference is.
All the places. All right, cool. Well, that's it for us this week. We'll leave it there and we'll speak to you next time, everyone. Bye-bye.
See you.